there, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about The Iron Raven by Julie Kagawa. I have to say, I've never read a book by this author. I've wanted to. Literally, her entire Talon series and the Iron Fey series, they are in my Bookshop.org cart. They're there, just waiting, saying, Cynthia, buy me. And then I'm like, money. That's the struggle. A book lover struggle. So I've never read her work. And I say that because this is a spin-off of the Iron Fey series. I'm going to start right there. You don't have to be familiar with the Iron Fey series in order to understand this novel, and I think that's really good. I like when authors are able to really capture their characters' personalities and their dynamics and their history in very little words. You know, it's not overwhelming amount of information. It makes you want to read the Iron Fey series, but if you haven't read the Iron Fey series, you're not going to be lost when you're reading this, because again, never read the Iron Fey series. I know a little bit about Fey mythology, not as much as I would like, but I do know Fey mythology, and I really enjoyed how it was brought to life in this book. So it does make me intrigued to read that Iron Fey series. I'll be honest with you, the whole reason I haven't read the series was because the old covers, well, I wasn't really like drawn to those covers. I was like, meh, interesting title, but yes, I did judge a book by its cover. However, those new covers, I need those. I need those in my life. I need those on my shelf. And when I was reading this, I just kept thinking of Puck from the Gargoyles animated TV show. And I love that. You know, I did get this nice warm sense of nostalgia when I was reading the book. So to me, I thought this book was very well done. And again, you're not going to be lost if you haven't read the Iron Fey series. I know a lot of people tend to be a little hesitant when they're reading books or spin-offs of other books. They're like, oh, well, I'm not really going to know who these characters are or their dynamics. You don't have to. It's not a hindrance. Like I said, the author does a really good job of capturing those dynamics and the history between those dynamics in a really well thought out way. She uses flashback scenery and to add depth to it without slowing down the pace of the story, and without, I already said slowing down the pace of the story, but there was another thought I had that I was going to say. It'll come to me. But she's not boring. There we go. She's not boring the reader with so much information. And I think that shows how good of a writer she is. That she's able to recap a majority of her Iron Fey series in this so that the reader isn't lost. And honestly, Nyx, the moon elf, she just reminded me of the Dragon's Prince, the moon elves. I am here for moon elves. I love moon elves. I'm a moon person. See? Moon. Oh, that's right, I took my nose ring out. Moons everywhere. Because my name means moon. I'm glad, Cynthia. So, I'm obsessed with the moon. So I loved Nyx. I thought she was such a great addition to the story. Literally, I just kept imagining the moon elves from Dragon Prince, and I thought that was great. I'm like, so is she a fan of Dragon Prince and decided to do something with it, or so I thought that was really cool. And I do love Puck. I think he's a great protagonist. If you're familiar with Puck at all, you know he's a prankster. He causes mischief. He's from the Summer Court, the Sealy Court, with Oberon and Tatiana, and I love his personality. And I love how he does have this kind of baggage to him. He's always saying, like, yeah, we're a Fey, we don't have souls. But I'm like, but you have a conscience. He has developed a conscience. He is so much more than what people make him out to be. I think he likes people to underestimate him. And I'm okay with that. I'm all for, okay, I'll let you underestimate me, but I'm going to show you I'm quite formidable. And that's what I really liked about his characterization. And with Nyx, I like their kind of budding romance. It's interesting to see these new dynamics come into play and play off these past dynamics, because you have Carrion, I hope I'm saying his name right. He's, pretty much the king of the Forgotten, and he's Megan and Ash's son. He is there in the beginning, but he's not really there throughout the end. It is Puck's journey. It is very much Puck's journey. And I love how he turns into a crow half the time, or raven. I loved the story. It was very fast paced. It was very engaging from beginning to end. It definitely draws the reader into the story as you're reading about a lot of negative feelings, pretty much. Like I said, Puck has a lot of baggage. He's been alive long enough. He has a lot of baggage, and for the most part, he's over it. But when he fights this creature, this monster, what this monster does is it feeds off negative emotion. Where have I seen that before? I've read something like that before. So this monster feeds off negative, emotion. And what that does is it latches onto Puck, and it's bringing out this side of him that he thought was, buried and gone. This side of him that he didn't really like. Robin Goodfellow, he didn't like who he was. And I think a lot of us, when we're reflecting on our past, we're just like, I didn't like who I was a lot. Did I like who I was a lot? No, not really. I think it's relatable, because now he has to fight these dark emotions that are really overwhelming to him. And I really think that's a very humanistic approach to the writing and the storytelling, and what makes it relatable, how he has to move on again. And I don't think that's really easy for anyone to do when you are faced with, heartbreak. Having to get over heartbreak again is never going to be an easy task. Having to move on from vengeance is never going to be an easy task. Having to move on from anger, not easy. At least not for Puck. Especially when you are reading how overwhelming, again, all his memories that he thought, long dead, buried, forgotten, they're coming back. So they're like fresh wounds to him. And it's like his wounds just keep tearing open and open and open until that moment, that fabulous moment where he gets over it and he accepts, what happened. That's it. It happened. I am over it. And he pretty much stands in the face of the darkness and says, you have no control over me. I'm just going to laugh and joke and prank. And I think that that's really great. And I loved his journey throughout this story, to see him grow and face his dark feelings and face all that anger and resentment and guilt and remorse and heartbreak, to face it all again and to come up on top of it, I think was a really good showcase of characterization and growth for his story. And it really did move the story forward. There are flashback scenes, of course, but again, they don't ruin the pacing of the story. They don't break it up. You are not lost when you're reading the story, which I think is important. You don't get bored by it, by the rehashing. So honestly, this book only made me want to read the Iron Fey series more, because I want to see more of these relationships, and I want to go back to the beginning. But you don't have to have read that series in order to appreciate this novel. Again, I didn't, but I totally loved it. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars, The Iron Fey by Julie Kagawa. Great book. Can't say it blew me away, but it really was well done and well written, so I ultimately really did enjoy it. On that note, if you want to support the author, go ahead and purchase the book from your local online book retailer or local bookstore if they are open. Please try to avoid purchasing off of Amazon as much as possible. I will include a link to bookshop.org in the description below, where you can purchase from them, and a percentage of your sale goes to supporting a local bookstore in your neighborhood or a local bookstore of your choice. If money's tight, check out the book from your local library. And if you have a digital card, you can get an ebook and audiobook from them as well. And on that note, I hope you all will continue to support me by liking this channel, subscribing to it, and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. You can also become a supporter on Buy Me a Coffee or by purchasing one of my handmade candles. There are links in the description below. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.